Howdy folks, welcome back to Overland Outfitting. I'm Fred, and today I'm here with my buddy Colby, and we are here to give you an introduction to this 2008 Toyota FJ Cruiser that we are looking to build into our next overland rig. I found this truck in northern New Mexico. It had been kept in very good shape, and I'm quite happy with what I was able to find here as a base platform for the next build project, considering the fact that with a careful eye, you can find these in relatively good shape and at a relatively good price, considering what's out there on the new and used market today from Toyota and Jeep. All right, so to begin our walk around, as stated, we have a 2008 FJ Cruiser here. I found this truck with about 189,000 miles on it. That seems like fairly high mileage. However, this truck was very well taken care of. It was a single female owner in northern New Mexico, and she had taken good care of it, and she also had no accident history on it. This truck was essentially a mall crawler. It's 100% stock, and at this point, now that I've put about 1,000 miles on it, it has all the fluids have been changed and are fresh on it, including the transmission fluid, the transaxle fluids, the rear diff fluid, as well as all the engine coolant and lubricants that we typically run. So given this is a Toyota and an FJ Cruiser, I feel that it's going to potentially run for another 5 to 10 years. My plan is to keep this vehicle until perhaps 250,000 miles, unless somebody comes along that is interested in taking it off our hands down the road. As you can see walking around, the hood here is in good shape. Typically this section here will fade from the sun very badly. It is plastic under here on this front edge. However, this had been repainted, so it looks quite good at this point, and the rest of the paint job looks quite good, considering the fact that it is original and has been in New Mexico for the last 8 years or so. Walking around, this truck you can see is on the stock wheels and stock tire size. These are the 16-inch version of the wheels. They also came with 17s, and I'm glad that this has 16s. I will have to put some new tires on it within the next 6 months or so, and at that point it becomes a debate as to whether or not I upgrade the tire size or not. Upgrading the tire size does typically require the 2.5, 3-inch lift, which is probably the direction we're going to go with this anyway. My 2007 had a Toytec 2.5-inch lift in it with 285 75 16s, I believe they were. And although there are some properties of the stock tire size that I really like in the winter and on the highway, the 285s really do give you more float and more stability in the high mountains over rough terrain. That lift also gives you more travel and a better feel, because typically your lift kits are going to have a good quality stock, a good quality shock like a Bilstein or an Eibach or something of that nature. This truck, unlike my 2007, does not have the stock sliders that my 07 had. I do plan on putting some rock sliders on this. The stock ones are surprisingly good, but at this point I'm thinking perhaps a set of DeMellos might be in order for this truck. The paint and everything coming around here is all good. Fortunately, the frame does not have any rust on it, as this truck has not spent any time on the East Coast and any salted highways. Coming around the back, fortunately this does have trailer hitch on it, which I do use because I have a hiker trailer that I get to tow with this, and my hiker trailer is about 1,000 pounds, which this truck is very capable of towing. At 1,000 pounds, you barely even know it's back behind you. This truck did not come with the stock floor mat back here. I will probably get a WeatherTech to add to it for times when I'm using this as just my family grocery getter and things of that nature, and don't have the camping equipment in here that I will normally have in here when using it for off-road overlanding adventures. Coming around, the passenger side is in good shape as well. And as we take a look at the interior, you can see that the seats are relatively in good shape here. There's very little wear on the bolstering. She did replace the seat cover on the driver's side, so the wear that was on this bolster has been taken care of. I do also plan on putting some seat covers on this, as I have a dog and she's got white hair, and it's nice to have seat covers that you can clean and preserve the seats for the life that this vehicle has left in it. As you can see, this truck does not have the factory rack on it, or any rack for that matter. I was quite happy with that when I found this truck, as the stock rack really leaves a lot to be desired. I had one on my 2007 and I lived with it for the time that I had it, but I always wanted something better and more usable for going forward. But with this one, the plan is to build our own rack. There's a lot of good racks out on the market now, but I also have some ideas that I think might be of interest to a lot of you DIYers out there. We look forward to bringing you that in the future. The rack mounts up here all have the original factory caps on them, and they make good solid mounting points and a good template for building your own rack if you have the ability to weld and bend steel tubing. And we definitely look forward to taking that on in the coming months, as a rooftop tent is probably going to be outfitted on this truck for next season, when there are times that I don't want to tow my hiker trailer into terrain that is a little more aggressive than what it is really capable of doing, given the extra length that it adds to your overall rig. I want to be as mobile as possible in tighter spaces up here in the San Juan Mountains of Southwest Colorado and other places throughout the state, as well as Utah. As we come around, I will also point out that this vehicle does not have any armor underneath it, and that is going to be one of the first upgrades that needs to be added to this vehicle to protect the underside. The only thing that this truck currently has on it is the stock skid plate down here, which is really nothing more than a bug shield. Anyone who's ever taken one of these off, or even if you look down in there and you look at the mounting brackets, you can see that it's very thin metal, and any hit on any rock or any other low spots would bend the mounts on these factory skid plates very easily. Bumper wise, we'll see what's to come. I did have an Expedition 1 front bumper on my last FJ, and I did have a winch on it. That of course does require a lift kit with some heavier springs in order to support the weight, as typically your steel bumpers, that you're going to find on the aftermarket are going to weigh in anywhere from about 100 to 160 pounds more than this stock bumper cover that's on here. Let me go ahead and open up the hood real quick. Looking under the hood, you can see that the engine bay is tight and it's clean. There are no leaks whatsoever. The battery was new on it, and the hoses are all in good shape. The belt's in good shape. There's no noises. I feel really good about what I saw under the engine bay, as well as what I saw with the driveline underneath. All the four-wheel drive components actuate without any issues. Goes into low range without a problem. The lockers can be engaged with no problem, and the stability control system disengages when you go into high, which is really nice in the winter because the stability control system can become annoying in two-wheel drive on snowy roads. One thing that is a little bit of an issue with this truck are these back window seals. This is something that is fairly typical on the FJs. I did replace these window seals on my 2007, and it's not too much of a problem to do so. I ended up buying a little body toolkit, plastic toolkit to pry these open, and I'm certainly of the opinion that it's better to buy a new tool for a project like this rather than pay a tool for a project like this. The window seals are currently on order. They're not too expensive. I think the window seals are going to cost me a grand total of about $60. I forget what the price was on it. We will look to bring you a video on that in the near future so that you can see just how easy it is and feel confident that it is something that you could take on yourself. From the driver's perspective, as far as the interior goes, it's really nice to be in a vehicle that is as basic and logically laid out as an FJ Cruiser is, given the fact that all of your switchgear and controls are large, easy to find, nothing is overdone. There's not a lot of electronic gimmickry going on here with this vehicle. This is a stock stereo, which I will probably keep in it until it goes out, if it ever does. I will say the CD player went out on my 07, and I actually never even replaced it over the 10-year period of time that I had it, because the FJ does have an auxiliary input here that you can plug in your iPhone for longer trips and have that when you want it. Around town, most of the time I just put on the radio with local channels and it's fine for that. One of the things I always loved about an FJ is this extra glove box up here in front. I keep all kinds of things in here right now. I got a set of glasses and a Leatherman always stays in here. The glove box down here for paperwork and other things is plenty big. One other thing I really like about the 08 versus the 07 is that the 08s had this side visor for when the sun is beaming down on you going down the highway or when you're up in the mountains. The visors here on the FJs only cover about halfway, and without this side visor it didn't do much good for you when the sun's coming in your side. Now that I have this, I'm definitely gonna enjoy not having the sun beaming on my face when we're going down the trail. Of course, like most of them, you do have the console unit up here on top of the dash. I have mixed feelings about that. I tend not to worry or use the inclinometer. It's kind of nice to have a thermometer once in a while here in the center. The compass is just a basic, 8-point rose compass, and who doesn't have a compass on their phone or on their watch or someplace else these days? It would almost be nice to have this space open for doing other things with it, but I'm not going to be looking to change anything out given that it's already here. And that's really all there is to say about the interior. It's in good shape. This one did have a dash mat on it all its life, I believe. The dash is in great shape. There are no cracks or anything like that. And I'll be leaving this dash mat on to protect it from the sun going forward. So that pretty much wraps up our introduction and our walk around to this 2008 FJ Cruiser, which we intend to build up into our next overlanding rig here at Overland Outfitting. Considering the fact that we came in a little under $18,000 for this platform, we think it's going to serve us well for the immediate future, and we hope that you will join us as it turns into the rig that we eventually want it to be. Hope you get some value out of this video, folks. If you do and you want to follow us going forward, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day and stay well.